Mrs. Bricksie and I went out for breakfast the other morning.
And what we always do is we save our potatoes because it's way too much food on the plate, so we don't eat any of the potatoes. Then we bring them home and we refry them the next day. We mix them in with some scrambled eggs. The eggs are ready to go there. And now we have some beautiful potato and scrambled eggs. Gonna put some cheese on there, some spices. It's gonna be delicious. Look at that though, 2-for-1 breakfast.
All right, now the kids are fed, I'm fed, hung out with them for a bit this morning, and then I came on over to the studio. And today, of course, we're gonna be working on the Lego City. Truly have no idea what I'm gonna do yet today. At this point, I have no idea. I really don't know. That's sort of the way it is some days. It's like, what should I work on? There's so many things to do, what should I do? But I know for a fact, the first thing that I want to do today is print more of these. Fairly easy to print, literally just go down to the machine and hit reprint. So I've got my 3D printer, which is the A1 Mini, printing one of these. Unfortunately, the Mini can only print one of these at a time. It only takes about an hour to print. So if I'm here for 8 hours, I can print 8 of these in one day on the A1 Mini. But Jose and I, we were sorting the parts yesterday, and we ran out of these. I've got lots of the 2x2s. I printed way too many of the small bins, which look like this. So we've got plenty of those. But as we were sorting, we thought it would be cool to experiment with some different sizes. So this one here is 4x4 inches. We thought maybe we should go up to 4x8 inches. We could do up to 8x8, but 8x8 is ridiculous. That's a huge container. That's like 4 of these. So you're thinking, let's go with 4x8, maybe even 4x6. But for now, I've decided that I'm gonna experiment with 4x8 and check it out. I've got the file ready to go. So this is what it looks like on the software. That's the 2D version of it. And when I click on that, you can see all the dimensions right there. So it's 204 by 102 millimeters, which is approximately 4x8 inches. And then you can see the 3D version of it. I downloaded this file. I uploaded it into my printing software, and there they are. I'm gonna be able to print 2 at a time on the big A1 machine. And we are going to go to preview. It's going to generate that. Then we're gonna go to print plate, and I've got to choose the A1 printer, which is number 317. And it looks like that's going to take 3 hours and 39 minutes to print. And they're going to weigh 170 grams, 170.95 grams for the pair of them. Not too bad. So I'll be able to print 4 of those today while I'm here. And then I'll probably be able to hit print before I leave as well. So I'll be able to get 6 of those printed in one day, which is not bad. So let's get that going. Beautiful. Now this is a bit particular on my end here, but we were looking at this yesterday, and the more we were using our 3D printed drawers, or the containers that fit in the drawers, the more we liked them. Like, this is so good because there's no wasted space. Whereas these ones, the containers that I've been accumulating for years from Dollarama, there's just so much wasted space between them, and they're not like vertical walls. You see how they sort of taper inward? So that is a lot of wasted space in itself as well. And also the acrylic containers, they're so much thicker. So when you print something that's like really thin like that, it's more efficient with space as well. So I know I said that we're not going to replace every single container, but the more and more that we replace, it's like, why wouldn't we? I can't say that I'm going to 3D print all new containers, but I definitely want to, just based on how efficient they are when it comes to storing parts. That's the beauty of 3D printers, right? You can get exactly, like, the exact size that you want. Like, I could even start printing little tiny guys to fit in these drawers if I truly wanted to, so we could isolate these by part type and by color and everything too. Like, we could get like so micro sorted, it would be incredible. It would just be so efficient. But I think for the most part, I might be leaning toward printing more of these containers so I can isolate 2x3s from 2x4s from 2x2 plates, just as an example. it might just make sense and I can print them in any shape or size that I want, so it best accommodates all of these different print varieties. It might be getting a little bit out of hand. Like I might be doing it just like a little bit too much, but you know, if you've got the technology and the willpower and the time, and well, maybe not the time, but the skills and the know-how, why wouldn't you do it that way? Why wouldn't you just make it pristine, like just beautiful, right? It's funny, I was going through these drawers. I never really showcased this drawer. It's nice. Look at that, the 1x2 plates, the 1x2 tiles in dark, and then all the dark trans blue stuff, and then above the 1x2 trans blue tile drawer. That is just so satisfying. But now I have way too many of these. You know what we got to do? We got to get building. So I got to use all those for like rivers and waterfalls and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I'm just having so much fun with this. It's amazing. So I think we're going to continue working on the countryside today. Another thing that I need to deal with either today, which is Thursday, or tomorrow, which is Friday, is this stuff over here. Because I'm going to Kevin's, or the Brick Building Biker's house, to pick up the remaining parts of the collection, which is all the built sets. So what I need to do is go through here and put all this bulk where it belongs, which is upstairs. I need to offload all the sealed sets from those bags, probably just offload them into the cubbies underneath the medieval display. I'm going to clear all of the base plates off the medieval display. And then I need to offload these 3 totes, which are full of bagged out sets, onto the medieval display, free up all these totes and all these bags and bring them over there so we have more things to transport the sealed sets in. And then bring all that stuff over here and then start processing it all, which is going to be a big job. But in order to get ready for the next phase of moving, I need to offload all of this stuff and start processing it. So we have all those containers, and just so it's not in the way and we have a place to put all of those sets. But I just sort of want to work on the city today. I don't know if I want to do that today. I think that's a Friday project. I think the countryside would probably be a good place to continue working. I do need to go through and texture this gravel road. It sounds like the most monotonous, boring job in the planet, but boy, oh boy, does it ever look good in the end. I need to widen this creek. You see how I widened it here? I need to widen it in the front of the airstrip as well, so it needs to go over onto these plates here. And then I need to continue adding the reddish brown plate, which is elevated 1 plate up off the base plate. So I need to do my underlying plate, and then the reddish brown plate, and then the texturing on top, all the way along here where it's all cut out and ready for it. And once again, widen this creek so it matches up with the other wideness of that creek over there, or the same creek, I guess. And then I need to start going uphill. Now, came to the realization the other day that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to use wood over here. Of course I could use wood, but I don't want to, because I want to make this creek bed a lot steeper in this portion, because I'm going to raise up this whole area, but I have to do it all with bricks because I want to add that depth. I want there to be ponds that go really deep. Like this one here, for example, is 3 bricks, but if I could get one that's got like 6 bricks of depth around the bank of the creek and also the pond all throughout this area, I think it would be super cool. So I'm literally going to have to 2x2 brick up to this height and more all throughout. It's going to use a lot of bricks because you can see underneath these 16x16s, there's a lot of brick. So I'm going to have to build up, which is just mind-boggling to think. I'm just like trying to wrap my head around how many parts that's going to consume for this huge area in the city, and it's like really boggling my mind and sort of putting me at a standstill. Even though I have a lot of parts, it's like, oh man, am I really prepared to use them all in this area? But I think it would be really cool if this was all brick built up like this high, all throughout, with all sorts of depth and terrain everywhere. And then once we get that high, I can do a cliff edge on the backside, similar to what I've started doing here. but have to continue all the way along and then do a cliff edge all the way along up against the train track. And it's going to get even higher here. So it sort of matches the height of this, which is approximately 10 bricks. And then do the cliff edge and like Green Hill mountain, foot of the mountain there. And then the train will pass through this valley, similar to what it is here, but more aggressive, more height. And then this will all be elevated, and I can put a bridge going over the train toward all the different campsites, which will be up here, because this is where the campground is going to go. And then down here, I don't really know what's going to be here. It's like the farm and more like just landscaping, along with like mini buildings, like the A-frame, maybe the Sanderson Sisters Cottage, maybe the burrow, a farm, and just things that you would find in a countryside. Once you add those structures and buildings and you add rolling green hills and the depth and the creek and the water and all this different stuff, it's going to consume this space, but also it's going to look beautiful at the same time. So I'm really excited about taking this huge plot of land here and just like terraforming it with depth and Lego. It's going to be insane. It's going to be so cool. But got to take it one day at a time, and I think I've got to start over here and work my way this way. Something that's sort of boggling my mind is the road. It's going to have to go up and downhill. I've done inclines and roads two different ways. The first way is where you just take plate or brick or road plate and you just put it at an angle like that. And it's just sitting there and we're letting gravity do the work. I like that. It looks clean. It looks realistic. It gets the job done. The other way that I've done it is by just using plate and building up one plate by one plate. The issue with that is you have like this big bump there, and I don't think it looks as real. I'm trying to decide how I'm going to do this for my gravel road. Am I going to do things like that to go uphill and slowly go up one plate by one plate? Like, is that the play? Or am I easily or simply just going to take plates and have them go up like that every now and again, and that is the slope? I don't know what looks better, and I don't know if there's a third and better way to do it. I can't really picture a better way to do it. I mean, you could use slopes, but slopes have like this smooth texture, which isn't gonna allow you to like greeble it like that. So I don't think using slopes is gonna look as good as either just laying plates or staggering plates. I've got to decide which way I want to do it, maybe just a little bit of both. First things first, working on my gravel road. So what I'm doing is just filling in this inset area with 4x6 and 4x4 plate. And this is what it looks like when it's all filled in. It's 2 plates lower than the grass, which is nice because we can get it looking like that tapered look that's actually inset. And this is what the mill's work looks like underneath, just using plate. And you can see I've spaced these out. So we've got spots for 4x6 right here. So 4x6 can go right there. Even this one's cracked. Darn brittle brown. And then 4x4 can go in areas like that. And we can just work this in all the way along, and the spacing should work out correctly with the underlying plate, which is good. And just fill it all in. Then eventually I'll get around to texturing it and adding the wedge plates on the side to give it that unique shape. Pretty basic stuff though. It's a little bit time consuming, but it works, or it looks really good in the end, except for that. I for sure got to replace that. So dangerous pulling these out like that. They could break because they're brittle. I don't think Lego makes brittle brown pieces anymore. I actually heard it from the reps in Billund that yes, they have solved the brittle brown problem. So this is all this older brown stuff. It had something to do with the color. It's like your reddish browns and also your like dark red colors will be brittle. But I think they've solved that moving forward. At least that's what I've been told. So that's good. You wouldn't want a Jabbos sail barge to end up like that in the years to come, right? I know I sure wouldn't. But yeah, I think this works out nicely. I like to treat each section, like see how this one comes in a stud and this one comes out a stud. I like to treat each section separately. So just redoing the plate work underneath, just so like the 4x plate sits on this area, then this area gets its own set of plates. I don't like bridging across because I actually think it ends up making it more complex in the end. I did that over here. Like you can see, I filled in some of the gaps with like 2x and 1x, and there's a 1x8 there. It just makes it more difficult. I'd rather do it this way. It's just easier to manage, I find. I've started creating my first section of raised gravel road. This is what the underlaying mills work looks like. So we've got 2 bricks where the green plate is going to go. Then we got 1 brick and 1 plate where the reddish brown plate is going to go. The ones bordering it are what I call hybrid supports. So they're 2 bricks, also 1 brick and 1 plate, and that's going to support the gravel road. However, I've just realized that I've got to consume a lot more parts than I would like in regards to creating this gravel road. Because when you look here, you can see there's green brick bordering the road. So when you look through like the stuff that I put on top and also the wedge plates that I put on the edge, like this here, when you look at the edge, past all that greebling there, you see green. You don't see open space or colorful brick. So in order to get that same look, well, I need to use a bunch of parts that I don't really want to use because I want to save my 2x green brick for the mountain construction. But now I'm going to use a ton of it on these gravel roads because what I would have to do is remove all this bordering that reddish brown plate and replace it with green brick like so. Unfortunately, I don't have any 1x green brick. I only have 2x, so I'm going to have to do 2x all the way along, which seems like a waste of parts, but it's not really a waste of parts because then when you look at the gravel road, it's going to look a lot cleaner. Another option that I have, I guess, is I could not embed the gravel road. I could simply just put the gravel road on top of the green plate moving forward. You know what I mean? Just mills plate this like a standard green plate with 2 bricks tall and then put the gravel road on top. Maybe that's more authentic, but I don't think from a Lego point of view, I don't think it looks as good. And I think it's a little bit more simplistic than embedding it because all you're doing is just building a mills plate and putting plates down like this. And it's sort of like, oh, okay, all he's done is put plate on top. Why even mills plate? You know, what's the point? All you're doing is just putting plate on top. Like it's nothing advanced at all. Whereas this, I feel like, is a little more technical. Like it's not over the top technical stuff, but I think it's better than just putting plate on top. Otherwise, I may as well just be using base plates. Why even mills plate stuff if I'm not actually going to embed things in the mills plates? So that's the reasoning why I want to do it this way. I just think it looks a little bit better, and I know that it's a little bit more technical in the end. I got my first elevator plate done, and now I'm moving on to the second one. This one goes up to 3 bricks up off the ground, and you can see all the brick and plate work to make that happen under there. Holy. So here it is without the red and green plate and after all the plates. You can see how many parts go into the underlaying support work. And as you can see, I have decided to go with the staircase effect rather than the angled plate. I just think that that looks way better. And once I texture it too with all the greebling up top, it's gonna look sweet. So this is definitely a pretty cool mills plate. Like look at that gravel road foundation. Now you can see I actually made the road wider at 16 studs rather than the 12 studs. Of course, the road can be as wide as I want to make it anywhere in the countryside, and the reason I decided to make it wider here is because I think this is going to be the finalized position of the A-frame cabin, and widening it in front of it might make sense for some parking. So people who are renting out the A-frame cabin can park there and then haul their gear into the actual cabin. But with this placed, you can start to see the elevation. So this one here is 3 bricks tall. That's 1 brick tall. I'm going to modify that one so it matches with the 16 stud roadway, expanding the little parking space for the A-frame cabin. And then we've got 2 bricks tall, 1 brick tall. And eventually I want to go up to like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That might be pretty cool if we're up to like 10 bricks, which is essentially the height of that. And then we have like creeks with like the big creek bed, like with 10 bricks of depth. Ooh, that's gonna look really neat. I need to get this creek connected here, and then I can start meandering through. And once this road passes the A-frame cabin, it's gonna go at an angle toward that platform right there where we're gonna have our tunnel, which will connect to the residential. So I know the road is rather straight right now, but once we get past the A-frame, it's gonna start going at an angle, which will look really nice. So everybody, I've got some unfortunate news. I just heated up what I'm going to call dinner. It's not unfortunate that it's like dinner. Like this is a delicious meal right here. This is what we call lasagna soup. Mrs. Brixie's amazing. Look at that, lasagna soup. Oof. That's gonna be good. But I'm upset that it's already dinner time. Like it's already 5:20. It's unfortunate. Why is it so late already? Well, I did the city projects, and then I had a bunch of stuff that I had to do that's like behind the scenes. And it was 3 projects. It was 3 advertisements I had to make for the month of October. And you gotta get them submitted early so that they can get approval. So I just took care of all 3 of those, distracting me from the city. But worth it, because it helps fund this. This takes hundreds of thousands of pieces, and it's just one of the necessary things that I have to do and I have to set time aside to do. But it was for like the new periodic table of colors, the new version of that from WLWYB, welovewhatyoubuild.com, and a couple others. So yeah, got that done. And I also inserted the next segment here. So now we have all those at 1 brick tall. We've got 1 at 2 bricks tall and 2 at 3 bricks tall with some room for parking for the A-frame cabin. I've got to find my A-frame cabin arched bridge. Where did that go? Hey, remember to eat your vegetables too, kids, all right? They're good for you, and drink lots of water. So, technically, this is the 4th video that I'm editing today. But I thought I spent all day building Lego. I'm on the big A1 machine. Nope, not the case. Preview. So the A-frame cabin sits right here. Then we have this road plate. And I want to build a giant curve because this road is going to start curving after the A-frame cabin. And there it is on a 48 by 48 base plate. Not only do I want it to start to curve and be at that angle, but I also want to continue that incline. So this is going to get real spicy here, everybody. So I've gone with 4 bricks on the edge, and these bricks, or these are all 4 bricks as well, except for this one. Now they're all 4 bricks. And then my road, or the 4x4 reddish brown plate, is currently on pedestals of 2 brick. However, this right here has 2 brick, 1 plate. So I'm going to start it at 2 brick, 1 plate, and we're going to go up to 3 brick, 1 plate, right? Yeah, 3 brick, 1 plate. And that means I've got to bring it up gradually by 1 plate, sorry, 2 plates throughout this entire curve. I think it's going to be super neat if it just slowly goes up and then continues into the higher section of the countryside. But that's going to involve a lot of weird plate work on top of all of these 2x2 pedestals underneath this plate that I didn't tack down. So that's what I'm going to work on now. And it's pretty cool. You can see how it's embedded. And once again, I would much rather embed stuff than have it sit on top of the miller's plate. I think this is going to turn out pretty amazing, especially once I connect it to that tunnel and to the Winter Village, Ice Trucker Road and all that. It's going to be amazing. But it's just a process of getting there. You can see how many pieces this is consuming, and this is just one plate. And there's literally hundreds of plates. So you can see where my concern is. Even though I have a bunch of parts that I need to sort out right now from that collection I'm currently acquiring, it's not even going to get us anywhere close to what we need to do it right. And that's one of my concerns. The only unfortunate thing about this, I think, is maybe once it's done, it's not going to look as complex as it actually was to build. Just like getting everything correct under here. For example, there's 2 1x1 plates there. There's corner plates in there. There's 1x2s. The 2x2 bricks are, you know, like you got 1x1 there and no 1x1. And then it's got 2 2x2 plates and all the different like math to get the levels gradually going up like that just to get the support. So it's all supporting the 4x4 plate. You're not really going to see that once I cover this all up. But at least I know it's there. And I know it is pretty cool and was pretty interesting to make. Yeah, there we go. An angled road. An angled gravel road. Now that's something different, isn't it? Oh man, now I've got a mess I need to clean up. I think I need one more of these so we can visualize what it's going to look like down there. I think this is the right one, but I plan on using a ton of those on this gravel road. Check out the 3D printer status here. Let's see how they're doing. I've had them running all day. That's the beauty of it. They can take care of business while you're doing other things. So here's the 4x8 bins. Got 4 of those printed so far and another 2 on the way. And this one's just been going on the 2x2s all day. Should have been able to print more, but I got distracted and forgot to hit reprint. It is what it is. Check out this angled gravel road though. It's coming along nicely. And you can see here from this angle, it does sort of swerve a bit. I did add a little bit of swerving activity there, and that swerve will only improve when I add more of these. And I added some to my angle here too, just because before those it looked pretty harsh. And this one needs to go right there. Boom. Now I didn't actually tack all those down so I can just swipe them all away. The reason I didn't tack them all down is because they actually need to go up one more plate, and they actually sit on top of the gravel road greebling, right? Because the greebling goes right underneath the wedge plates. And then I just put a stud there and it holds it in place. So for that reason, I haven't tacked them down because I need to go through and greeble all this. It's going to be a ton of fun. But we can see that angle that I'm going for there. I decided to modify it right here and just change these to 4x4s because that's going to get us going at the right angle toward that tunnel. So it needs to bridge onto this plate and then this plate, which is a 4 base plate module, and this one, and then that one, and that one, and that one, and eventually it's going to have to go over top of this creek as well. Now that's going to be a really cool merge. I'm going to boost up the A-frame cabin. I'm going to boost up all of these so they're at this height, and they continue to go up, as I've said multiple times now. And this creek is going to go, and this road is going to go over top of the creek. So eventually this road's going to hit that creek, and it's just going to be like Mills plate depth amazingness that I'm going to have a really good time building. It takes time though. Like it takes time. How long did that plate take? Remember when I checked in there? It was 5 whatever. I haven't looked at the clock in a long time. It's 8:06. So yeah, there you go. That's like my evening done. I hope you enjoyed this update though. I feel like we got quite a bit done, but probably could have got more done if it weren't for those other distractions, but it is what it is. I mean, look at that. We got some elevation. This is the first time I've messed with elevation in the gravel road, which is amazing. I think it looks great, and I can't wait to bring it up to like 10 bricks high. Yeah, you can barely tell that it's going up, but it is. And when we get deeper there, it's going to be super raised up. Super cool, everybody. Thank you so much for coming on by. I hope you enjoyed this update. Please remember to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for some more great stuff. Farewell.